Coming up on A Moment of Wisdom, they came in as freshmen with a dream. Now they're leaving as champions.
It was like a dream come true. I mean, me and Morgan coming in as freshmen just to end it off our senior year. We couldn't have ended it any better, honestly.
Right. We've been waiting for this moment for a long time.
I felt an immense amount of pride when we were out there representing all the HBCUs and Howard as a whole.
Playing for Howard Golf means a lot more for the broader golf community, and us being like strong representatives and growing diversity in golf.
And from the fairway to the final frontier, one astronaut's journey to space and what it taught him about the power of coming together.
When you're first selected as an astronaut, there's 2 years of initial training, and you learn how to do a spacewalk. You learn all about the systems on the space station, and it's an international program. And so you get to travel to all the international partner locations in Japan and Germany and Russia and Canada, and getting to appreciate this international community that all comes together to do science in space, science for the benefit of humanity.
Welcome to A Moment of Wisdom. I'm Wisdom Martin. There's a word that follows certain people around their whole lives. First. The first to do a thing that nobody in the family has ever done. The first to walk through a door and hold it open for everybody coming behind them. This is a show about those people. We're calling it First in the Family. Now, in a few minutes, you're going to meet the young woman of the Howard University women's golf team, a national champion, a program that's only 6 years old, started by Steph Curry, and they brought home a ring. Now, they came from behind to do it, and the way they tell it, they weren't just playing for themselves, they were playing for every HBCU watching. Later, we're going to open up the vault for the best of the first in the family and sit down with a man who left this planet, Colonel Nick Hague, the first United States Space Force Guardian ever to launch into space. You'll hear how he got there and who he says carried him. But first, before any of that, let me ask you something. Think about the first time you did something nobody around you had ever done. Who are you really doing it for? Hold on to that. We'll come back to it. Let's get to it. Welcome, ladies, and congratulations on the big win.
Thank you.
How big of a deal was this for you when you finally, won this championship? This is 6 years. I mean, this program is only 6 years old. Each one of you, tell me how big of a deal this was when you finally secured it and became champions.
It was like a dream come true. I mean, me and Morgan coming in as freshmen just to end it off our senior year. We couldn't have ended it any better, honestly. So it's just awesome.
Right. We've been waiting for this moment for a long time.
For a long time. And you coming in as a freshman.
Right.
Coming in as a winner. You coming in, they're already there. They already went through it. And then you come in automatically winning.
She got it easy.
She got it easy.
Yeah,
right?
I feel so fortunate to be a part of the first wave, and I hope to have many more.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What was it like coming to Howard University? I mean, when you two got there, the program was new, and it's only been 6 years for you. But when you first come to Howard University, we know about HBCUs and the football and the basketball and the baseball, but you don't necessarily think about women's golf, or men's golf for that matter. You don't necessarily think about those things. So what was it like to come to Howard University to play golf in the first place?
It was an amazing opportunity. I mean, Steph Curry, he started the team, and I think just getting the opportunity to play for Howard Golf has just been amazing. And I knew coming in as a freshman, I wanted to bring home a ring. Like, that was the goal at the end of the day.
Right.
I think playing for Howard Golf means a lot more for the broader golf community, and us being like strong representatives and growing diversity in golf and being a platform for that has been really special for us to really just play with more purpose.
And what about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's such a unique experience getting to play golf for an HBCU. Definitely something I never pictured myself doing, but I felt an immense amount of pride when we were out there representing all the HBCUs and Howard as a whole.
Right. All right. So you had to do it. You had to come from behind to get this victory. All right. So a lot of pressure when you're behind and you have to come from behind to win. What was the strategy?
Just play. I mean, going into the third round, we had a team meeting, and I told the whole team, I said, don't worry about the other team. Just go out there and play golf. Like, your swing's going to do what it do at the end of the day. So just be yourself and have fun, and that's what got us there.
And it worked, right?
Yeah, hope for the best. Yeah, as long as you put your best foot out there, you know, anything could happen.
Right. All right, so that's pressure for the seniors. For a freshman, though, this had to be huge
Yeah.
for you as well.
Yeah, Marley did a great job of keeping us calm. Morgan was our hype woman on the final day, cheering me over my birdie putts. It just gave me so much inspiration and made me want to do it for a bigger purpose.
Okay. All right, so Coach, let's talk about the coach. How important was the coach's involvement in there? Do you like playing for Coach? We're going to pretend like he's not in here right now. No pressure to answer that, right? I already know you do. So what was it like, though? What's it like been like working with Coach, getting this program up to speed and to this level?
It's been amazing. I mean, we have 3 amazing coaches, and they've done their part to get us where we are today. And just having them there on different holes, helping us strategize, it's really helped us keep us calm and just keep us focused.
Right. Okay.
I think it's important to recognize how many people it takes to really build a program like this.
I know that our coaches were extremely proud of us. Half of them were crying. I know that Coach Puryear was hoisting the trophy above his head.
Right.
It was a really big deal for them.
Okay. Well, ladies, thank you very much. I appreciate your time coming in here. Congratulations on the big victory representing Howard University.
Thank
so
you
much.
so
representing
much.
HBCU. So congratulations and continued success beyond golf and more championships for you
yeah.
as you
yeah,
continue to play
absolutely.
golf. So thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, we open the vault, the best of first in the family, and the man you're about to meet didn't just break a barrier, he broke one about 250 miles straight up.
We've got every 5-minute segment from 7:30 in the morning till 7:30 in the evening is mapped out. All of this stuff that needs to get done every day. It's this tight-knit bond that you have up there just kind of working to get the job done.
Stay with us. Welcome back. Every week we keep a library of these stories, people who were first, and every so often we open it up. We call it From the Vault, the best of first in the family. This one, I've never forgotten. Colonel Nick Hague made history as the first active duty guardian in the U.S. Space Force to launch into space, serving as commander of the SpaceX Crew 9 mission to the International Space Station. This is Colonel Nick Hague. He is with the Space Force, and he's spending some time with me right now to talk about what the Space Force is, his mission, his whole background, your life, your journey, all things Colonel Nick Hague. Thank you. Thank you for spending time with me.
Pleasure to be here.
So tell me, a lot of people, they heard about the Space Force, but what really is the Space Force? What do you guys do?
Yeah. So let's start by I'm here in a NASA flight suit, and so
Yes.
I want to avoid confusion there.
Right, okay.
So I am a Space Force guardian, so I'm active duty military,
Yes.
but my assignment is to NASA, and I work for NASA as part of their civil space mission. So I'm part of the U.S. Astronaut Corps down
Right.
in Houston, Texas, and that's my job. I work for NASA.
Right.
But I also represent Guardians, and so what do Guardians do? They do all the things that, for most Americans, happen behind the scenes. If you've got a smartphone and
Right.
you've done a transaction, you've used Apple Pay or
Right.
whatever it is, you're using something that the Space Force provides. You're using the timing signal off of GPS, the constellation of satellites around the globe. You're using that in order to make that transaction.
Wow.
But you don't think about that. So Guardians do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. But with the stand-up of the Space Force, and we just had our fifth birthday.
Right.
It's a new service. But with the stand-up of the Space Force, now there's this better awareness of what we're doing. So for NASA, what do they do for NASA? They help me get to space.
Okay.
So I launched from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station on a launch pad that is on that Space Force Station. So they do that. They provide weather analysis to make sure that we're going to be safe on the way up. They provide the tracking to help us on the way up. Then once we get to space, I'm on the International Space Station for 6 months. I'm one object. It's a really big object. It's
Right.
like the biggest thing up there. But there are 50,000 other objects that Space Force tracks as it's all orbiting the Earth, and they make sure that we don't crash into something else or something else doesn't crash into us. And then they can give NASA a call and say, hey, something's going to get too close to the space station. You might want to think about moving it. And then NASA can move the space station out of the way.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So the Space Force does these things that make it possible for us to do everything else in space.
Right.
All of the commercial activity, it depends on the Space Force making space a stable place for us to operate.
Your background, your before the Space Force, was Air Force.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to get into the Air Force before maneuvering into the Space Force?
So, you know, I grew up in Western Kansas. I always had a fascination with, you know, the night sky and exploration, and I wanted to get involved in space, in aerospace science. And so I applied to the Air Force Academy. And that's where I went to undergraduate school. And that led me into the Air Force. Why did I want to do that? Because they had the jets and they had the satellites, and I wanted to go work with that stuff, and so that's what led me down that path.
That's the exciting part of it for you. What was your specific when you get into the when you got into the Air Force? What was your specific area of expertise that you focused on?
So I'm an engineer. I'm an astronautical engineer, and so it's the design and fabrication of satellites and rockets.
Wow, that sounds complicated.
It is. It requires a lot of school. So if you enjoy going to school, it's a great job.
All right. So you recently had a mission, 171 days in space, zero gravity, and then you have to navigate between Earth and space. What is that whole experience like? What is it like to go up and then come back down and readjust?
Yeah, your body is so incredible. It's so fascinating because it's so adaptable to the environment you're in. And so when you get up there, instantly you recognize that what my eyes are telling me is not what my inner ear is telling me, and it can make you motion sick. But then after a couple days, it doesn't matter. Your mind has adjusted. You grow a little bit because gravity's not compressing you. Your immune system changes a little bit. Things don't heal quite the same, and so you're constantly adapting to this. Even the way you perceive the world around you. So when you look around a room that you're in, your subconscious is constantly predicting, like, what are things going to be doing? Or if you throw a ball, everybody throws balls. So you throw a baseball, a football, how do I get it to that person? Well, when I throw it, I'm compensating for gravity. When you first get to the space station, you try to throw something to somebody, you throw it to them and it hits the ceiling because you're compensating for gravity and gravity's not pulling it down.
So you have to make some kind of adjustment.
And subconsciously, it adjusts. And so then when you get back down to Earth, it has to happen in reverse. And so you'll throw a ball and it'll be short.
Right.
Because you're not adjusted, but you adapt to it. And so we're adaptable. Even if you're 40, 50 years old, you're constantly adapting to the environment you're in.
Right. What made you decide how did you get into the Space Force, and what made you decide to move from Air Force? I know it's under the same United States, but you moved over to a different department, basically.
If I look throughout my career, the things that I was doing in the Air Force always kind of were related to the space mission. And when the Space Force stood up, a lot of that space mission was consolidated out of the Air Force into the Space Force. And so it was a natural transition for me. I started as a lieutenant in the research lab building satellites. That just made sense to, hey, I'd like to volunteer and transition over.
All right, so preparations for your mission, a lot of preparations to go into this. You don't just wake up one day and run around the track and say, okay, I'm going to space. That's not how it works.
There's a lot of training involved. It's when you're first selected as an astronaut, there's 2 years of initial training, and you learn how to do a spacewalk, you learn how to move the robotic arm, you learn all about the systems on the space station. Then once you're selected for a mission, there's another 2 years of training. So there's 4 years of dedicated training just to get to the launch pad.
Wow.
And then for your next mission, there's still another 2 years of training. But part of the fun is the training, and it's an international program. And so you get to travel to all the international partner locations and interact with training teams in Japan and Germany and Russia and Canada, and getting to appreciate this international community that all comes together to do science in space, science for the benefit of humanity.
Right. one of the big missions, one of the missions that made headlines recently, because you had to make a serious adjustment on this mission, because you go up you were going up one way, but then all of a sudden you had to make some serious adjustments because you were going to bring 2 more people back with you. Tell me a little bit about that mission and your mindset of how you had to adjust.
Yeah, so space is dynamic and often unpredictable, and so this is a great example of it. We were training as a crew of 4 to launch to the space station for a 6-month rotational mission, just like we've been doing for the last 2.5 decades with crews on the space station. And the Boeing Starliner spacecraft had some issues during its test flight, its first crewed test flight, that prevented Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams from being able to come home on that spacecraft. So we had to create some room so that on our way home at the end of our 6-month mission, Butch and Sonny could come back too. And so, Alex and I launched as a crew of 2 and went up there, floated through the hatch, gave everybody big hugs, and then we started that 6-month mission. And in that moment the hatch opened, we went from a crew of 2 to a crew of 4. And the 4 of us returned just a few months ago.
Wow. Making that adjustment, though, we talked about this earlier, making that adjustment, because you don't just roll out seats and put them inside your spacecraft either. You had to do some maneuvering in regards to space as well, actual space inside your space vehicle.
Yeah, everything changes. Supplies, what do people need? Do they have suits that work for the spacecraft? How do we get them all the things that they need? And so it's not just me adjusting, it's not just Alex, my crewmate that was launching with me, adjusting. It's hundreds of people on the ground thinking through every little detail of what do Butch and Sonny need, not just now, but what do they need 6 months from now, and trying to get all that equipment on board and then get up there and then successfully execute a long duration mission, because the purpose of the space station is to do scientific exploration. So we can't just get up there and leave. We need to get up there, do that mission, and then wait for our replacement crew, Crew 10, to show up so that we can come home.
When you opened that hatch and you saw Sonny and Butch for the first time, you said hugs, but did they say anything to you? Glad to see you. Let's go. How did that work?
It was a celebratory moment. The hatch opens up. For me, it felt like I was coming home. I'd been up there for over 200 days before, and so it seemed very familiar. But they had music playing, and they were cheering, and it was a great moment.
What was that like for you, though? When the world is watching. I mean, the world has their eyes on you because of this particular mission. What was that like for you? What was that like for your family and your friends to say, hey, we know that guy. We know that guy that's going up there leading this mission.
You're so in the moment up there, focused on the mission. You don't even think about it? I think my family got more exposure to that than I did. And so you're up there just kind of focused on, hey, we're in this space station. We've got every 5-minute segment from 7:30 in the morning till 7:30 in the evening is mapped out. All of this stuff that needs to get done every day. And so you're just working together as a crew of 7, trying to figure out, hey, I need some help. Come over here and help me. Oh, I'll help you. And you make it through the day. And so it's this tight-knit bond that you have up there, just kind of working to get the job done. A lot of the other stuff, you don't even have time to think about.
Don't even have time to think about.
You forget that there's cameras pointed at you most of the time.
What's next for you? I mean, I know you do missions all the time, but what's next for you? What's the next frontier?
Yeah, what is the next frontier?
Yes.
So NASA's getting ready in just a handful of months to launch a massive rocket, the SLS. It's going to launch from Florida on the Artemis 2 mission, and we're going to send 4 of my friends around the moon. That's what's next. And so eyes are focused on that. They're going to do a couple days in orbit around the Earth, check things out, and then boom, they're off on a figure 8 around the moon, and it'll be the first time that we've had people there in a long time. And that's just the first step. Wow. And then we're aiming to put people on the surface of the moon and figure out what we need to so that we can get to Mars.
All right, we're going to get a scoop. Are you getting in on that? Are you going to the moon?
If they ask me to go, I'd go.
Okay, all right. We got the scoop right here. He's going to the moon. I'm going to name it and claim it. He's going to the moon. No, I know. Well, listen. Thank you. I know you're a busy man. I know you have to, because you said when you come back, your work is not done, because you're home and then you're on the road, then you're home and you're on the road again. Yeah. I know you got lots of stuff to do. You always have lots of things to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Wizard.
Appreciate you for your service and everything that you do on Earth and in space. Thank you for your time today, Colonel.
Yeah,
thank you. First Guardian in space, and he'll tell you he didn't get there alone. It took a crew of hundreds of people on the ground. Nobody who's ever first ever does it by themselves. That's the thread. That's first in the family. And coming up, Wisdom's Word, I ask you at the top who you were really doing it for. When we come back, I'll leave you with something to carry home. Being the first requires a lot of sacrifice, determination, work ethic, and a whole lot of support. It's not just about going up into space or winning championships all the time. So we hear stories about people being the first in their families to go to college. We talk about this all the time on the news, the first to become, insert any specific job there. So think about this. I watched Max Robinson on the national news when I was a child. He was the first African-American man on the national news. I was a kid. I watched him. Later on, realizing that he opened the doors for me to get into journalism. 30 years ago, I got my first job in television, thanks to the support of one of my classmates, Deanna Sheffield, who was working in television and asked me if I wanted to get an entry-level job in television at the time. That was my opportunity to get into the business. It turns out, eventually, I would open the doors for other people as well. So keep this in mind. It's always bigger than just us. My mother used to sing a song to me when I was a kid growing up, and I'm not going to sing it for you, but it's, if I could help somebody as I travel along, then my living shall not be in vain. And that's what being the first looks like. Going back, opening the door for someone else. So think about that. If you could go back and sit down with yourself the day before everything changed, what would you say? I'm Wisdom Martin. Thank you for watching.